Hey y'all, so what I wanted to do today was go through two of my matches that I picked out for whatever reason and go through what I did right and wrong so both me and you can learn something from it, because there's definitely some stuff to learn. Right off the bat here, there's a bit of a misplay here going for this block horn with my dash, because I knew that there was that mortar enemy over there. So what I should have done is saved my dash so that I could go and capture point D with a full duration of stealth and not get shot at. But instead I choose to neutralize C, which is really risky and ultimately doesn't achieve a whole lot. So then I go for this. Some of my duration is wasted with the cheetah still on the point, and also it was fully captured by the enemy, so I was immediately revealed once my stealth was up, and that block horn next to me drew targeting, and I could be mortared even in stealth. Now this eclipse I bring out just in retaliation to the mortars, and still kinda end up messing up in the same way I did before, but I get lucky and nothing bad happens. And then the second time, I actually go in and do pretty much the same thing, wasting a lot of stealth duration, not on the point, but I get just enough for the beacon to be fully neutralized before I run out. And that's really what's important, is for your stealth to run out after the beacon is neutralized. This is of course depending on which control point you're currently capturing, because if it's super open and people are going to see you as soon as your stealth runs out anyway, you'll need it for the full duration of the capture. But if it's a secluded area, then you only need the stealth until the end of the neutralization process. Now I get stunned here by this Zephyr, but it's not a problem because it's still reloading. A bit of a blunder, but I get away with it because Eclipse. Right here I notice this enemy pod gun Eclipse, but I have to reload. So I run away, the Scorpius teammate blocks me, they die to the pod gun Eclipse, I don't. However, when I go back, I end up being too aggressive. I'm getting double teamed by it and a bot, since I'm basically running into their spawn. And then when I go to hide onto this pillar, there's a hemlock that gets me while my stealth is not active. Now, while this is unfortunate, it also is kind of a mistake on my end. If I had retreated from the Podgun Panther bot earlier, then I could have taken some extra time, which I would have had, to go to the hiding spot right to the right of my crosshair right now, and not risked taking fire from enemies in the center. But I had already committed to dealing with the Podgun Panther, which I was not successful in. That was a mistake. So it's too late now. I spawned my Parasite, didn't really do much with it. Got the Eclipse, got a random bot kill shot, but the Eclipse was as good as dead anyway. Now, because of my waste of a Parasite, I'm in a pretty cooked position. I could have maybe held on to that beacon because Parasite's a good defender, but I wasted it just trying to get kills, which is not a good way for that mech to be used. Some of that game was just unfortunate, and my teammate was kind of a bum, but a lot of it was my fault. A lot of your losses might be more your fault than you think too, because it's really easy to blame other circumstances for your losses. Now for this game, I want to talk about how I played Surge. One very, very important thing about Surge that I don't think is talked about enough is how much you need to use the stealth. I see that I'm spotted here, and I know that I will be spotted if I cross this without the dash, so I use the dash so I can get quick stealth on my way there, and this pays off really well. because this guy now doesn't know where I am. He isn't a Surge. If he had known where I was, he would have dashed at me and stunned me while the dash was on cooldown, but he didn't know I was there, so I ended up killing him and the 2 bots and taking center. This gives me massive momentum. This applies to all stealth mechs, but especially Surge because it benefits the most from the initial element of surprise. The information you keep from your opponent by minimizing the amount of time you spend out in the open without stealth is absolutely invaluable sometimes. So I'm coming into center now with an 8.8k HP Surge. I'm one shot to pretty much everything, but I still challenge this Continuum Aegis because I know that bots are always aiming for center mass, so they're really bad at hitting you when you're partially exposed, which I was right there, and they're also really bad at hitting enemies in stealth. So I knew there was a very, very low chance that it would actually hit me behind that partial cover. And it worked out. I survived that Aegis and got 2 more things while the Aegis was completely failing to even acknowledge me. Now I run over here in this Eclipse and just use my stealth to get over there, not necessarily to actually capture the beacon fully. Now, I do kind of pay for this when this Orion with the guided stuff comes here. If I had had stealth for the full capture, then I wouldn't have had to deal with that Orion, but it didn't take away too much health, so it ended up being pretty fine. I don't really know why I tried to shoot at that Viper bot, because I knew it outranged me with my miniguns, but I did anyway. Now, very similar to earlier in the game, I have a stealth mech, and there's a bot around the corner that I don't think can hit me reliably. So I use this to my advantage to neutralize it with the last little bits of my Eclipse's HP, and then I go into Parasite to try and defend that, assuming my bots would follow up on that, but they didn't, which is kind of what you get for assuming your bots are going to do anything. Now I get unlucky here immediately having to deal with a Graviton Beam Panther after I spawn my Parasite, but I have my Stormrex back in time to deal with this Deathwalker with its ability on cooldown. And that Deathwalker could have maybe saved the game if they had just preserved its HP a little bit better. With that Deathwalker gone, we had a really, really easy opportunity to just push the rest of the way into this person's base and seal the deal. This game was decided very, very early, as my utilization of Surge's stealth to initially take center, as well as 2 bots and 1 player Surge, really swayed the game in my favor, and if I hadn't used Surge's stealth so well, this game would have been much closer. Anyways, hope y'all enjoyed. Bye.
Wow.